you. Okay, welcome everyone. Let's see who is here and let's make sure I'm being heard. Just a moment, please. Okay, welcome everyone. There we go. All right, looks like it's working. Get this settled. All right, welcome. And let me say hello to everyone before we begin. I'm glad to see all of you. Let's see. All right. Now, I want to say welcome to everyone. Today is October 31st, of course, Thursday, October 31st. It is very important day, and this will be a very important stream. So I hope that all of you are watching. Please share this on your community pages and try to get as many people here right now as possible. This will be my my basic critique of the prosecution's case against Richard Allen that we've just experienced the last 2 weeks. And so I would like you to all be able to participate in this and understand some of the points that I'm going to bring out here. I think it's really bad, et cetera, et cetera. And I would love for all of you to participate and hope that we get some viewers. I know that it's been difficult operating the two channels because I have viewers on one channel, viewers on another channel, and sometimes they don't know where we are and what we're doing. So I'm going to share this again. Let's see. Try to get this done. And hopefully people will come over and join. Let's see. All right, we got that done. That's my goal. And then we're going to get everyone welcomed who are here. So let's welcome those who are here. All right. Now we got Nikki Bobby. Welcome. Icy Cat. Welcome. Adrian. Welcome. Adrian reminds you to hit the thumbs up. Please do. Please hit the thumbs up, y'all. All right. Sunflower Soul. Hello. What's up? Phoenix. What's up? Artist formerly known. Let's see if I can. Sunflower Soul, Heather Brown. Hello, Heather. Bobby Smith. What's up, Bobby? Tracy Fleetwood. What's up, Tracy? Good to see you. Cromley. What's up, Cromley? What's up, Kelly? And we got Old Mort, New Mort. What's up, Old Mort? Okay. Britt Marie, what's up? Okay, Def Otter, what's up? Four Pits. What's up, Four Pits? All right. Bobby Smith, who else? RC99, Swade Smith, Court of Public Opinion. Kelly, I said Kelly already, okay. Texas Lady, 1025. What's up, Bonnie? Okay. Digital. What's up, Digital? All right. Death Fodder. Royal Wee, what's up? Okay. And Rebecca Ann, 1965. How are you? Emily, how are you? Hiawatha, hello. All right. Mock Lawrence. I like the title, Holes in the State's Case. I think maybe it should be, Where is the State's Case? The bullet is a nothing burger. She couldn't even match it without shooting the gun. Yeah, we will get to that. It's not possible. Okay, what happened is not possible except by one speculative manner, but we'll be getting to that. Hey, Margaret. Welcome. Marianne Foster, what's up? Okay. Yes, please subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Enjoy the chat if you have not already. Join the chat. It's friendly in the chat. All right. Rick, what's up, Rick? Welcome in. All right. All right. Nancy Drew 101. How are you? What's up, Nancy Drew? All right. And the gun is evidence and it's not a witness's. Ari is the only witness that put himself there. The rest are confusing. They saw Bridge Guy most likely, but not Richard because Richard is not Bridge Guy. No DNA whatsoever, not at his house, not in his car, not on his weapon, not on his knives, not on his phones, not on his blue Carhartt jacket, trolls. Yeah. So, yeah, I feel you, Rebecca Ann. Can't wait for the defense to start the case. And guess what? That's going to be happening soon. That's why we're doing a review. We're doing a wrap up. We're doing a critique of the case so far. Okay, the non-case. As we've said already, the prosecution has presented the defense's case pretty much, but now the defense gets to present Abby and Libby's case. All right. All right. All right. It's most no, we'll be talking about that because you're going to be surprised what I'm going to show you today. You really will. Hey, Delphi will never cease to amaze you, guaranteed. Okay. All right. Yeah, no kidding. What's up, Jennifer? The hair in Abby's hand just continues to baffle you. Well, and it should. It should because it shouldn't be there. Am I right or wrong? And don't buy. You cannot buy the troll farm excuse that it came out of the sweater. Okay, that's called attempting to get ahead of the story, and we've gone over that before. Go back to the live stream from a couple days ago. You'll see it. Thank you, Ashes to Ashes OG. New sub here. Very relieved to hear someone's common sense. Well, because I'm independent. I'm not incentivized by either side to feed you some story or some BS narrative. So welcome. Welcome. All right. What's up, KLL? All right. Jenny 33. How are you? Hey, Amy with the flowers. Amy with the flowers. My main mod. All right. Smells like Kelsey was there. Sure does. Did you move the bodies? I just want to know. All right. All right. So there we go. So that's everyone. Let me get my coffee. I will try to get things ready to present for you. This is a this has just been a an upsetting endeavor. I mean, the fact that you would have witnesses whose stories are inconsistent with what they've said for 7.5 years, hundreds of times, and B, who conflict with each other. They've made it clear that law enforcement on this case has operated in a way that does not encourage trust in their endeavors, right? So why would law enforcement try to stack the deck, and railroad a a suspect? Because the fact is, you either do have the evidence or you don't. You either have a strong case or you don't have a case. You don't act first and then think about those things later, because you're in a position of authority. You have a responsibility with integrity and honesty to serve the public's interest. And it looks like that has not been done by these people. And it looks like what Jerry Holman did was decide who was guilty and who he was going to make guilty, and then went from there. What's up, CSI? All right. Yes, thank you, Kelly. I am as well. I'm struggling to see how this could be taken to trial. It makes zero sense at all. No sense that it would be. I mean, here's my opinion. If they didn't have it, they should have never made the arrest. They should have never charged with 2 counts of murder, and they should have never brought it to trial. It should be dropped. It should have already been dropped. But they're going to force disclosure to the public about the murders of Abby and Libby, and that'll be good for the world. Pick up what I'm putting down. All right. Now, let's see. What's up, Chevy Killer? What's up, Carla Ann? Welcome to you. Welcome to you, Carla Ann. All right. Hey, Yaya Kelly. What's up with you? Welcome. All right. So you guys should be very happy with the presentation today. Let's see if I can get it going. I'm having trouble with these chat on the screen. So I don't know why they're looking all big. How do you do that? Can I change that? Let's see. I don't know how to change those settings. All right. Did you have what's up, Keith? Okay, sorry, we're having a little trouble getting started here. All right. Holman is a disgrace. Yes, he is. And so we won't have any gaslighting about it. It is what it is, and that's what we're declaring. And he's proven it. He's proven it. Remember the outrageous response that you've seen from Andrea Burkhart. There's a reason. Okay, there's a reason she reacted that way to Jerry Holman, and you have to ask yourself, why? Why, Jerry? Why would Jerry Holman do what he do? I don't know. I can't tell you, but he did it, and he continues to. And they've gone on the stand and misrepresented this entire case. And so I think we're having a FAFO moment, or we will be. So it's my opinion of where we are. But anyway, I'm so glad to see all of you here. Anyone who's on the Lurker crew, again, please join the chat. Those in the chat, please make people feel welcome. Let's see, I'm going to get started here. All right, I'm going to move this a little. We're going to I see someone in here. Yaya needs a wrench. Oh, well, why am I having trouble doing that? Let's see. I see. All right, let's try that again. There you go. Perfect. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Even the coffin dabbler said Holman got everything wrong. Yeah, well, what it was is they propped Jerry up before this trial intentionally, just like they did to Judge Gull. Do you see? It's what they do. It's a Masonic strategy that's very well known among the general public. Is what they do is they prop people up in positions of power at certain moments when it's necessary to give them more credibility, believability, and authority. And that's what you've seen with Holman. KLL says the jury is good with their questions. Yes, so it indicates something to you, doesn't it? It indicates that it's a good, intelligent, curious, thoughtful jury. And if that's the case, this case will not stand because anyone who puts any criticism into this case is immediately going to walk away with doubt because this case is nothing but doubt. It's a railroading. What do you expect? Okay. Despite the lack of transparency from the court and from Judge Gull, it's very clear to any unbiased observer what has been happening here. Okay, so Amy says, hit the like, please. Okay, yeah, please hit the like and let's listen. Please join the chat if you have not already. It really is a great honor to have so many people who are wonderful in the chat. Here, Prof, checked in at 2. Sorry about the delay. I had a hell of a time getting my slideshow together, but thank you for being here. Okay, welcome Denise. All right, welcome Gaslight You. Please don't gaslight me. All right. They all get promoted when they do the right things. Yes. All right. Okay, Party says, I just left another area. I was going to lose my shit listening to people negative commentary regarding the phone call to Athy. I had to do all I could to not start crying. People are mean and terrorizing. Yes, well, I told you before, this entire case is surrounded by domestic terrorists because domestic terrorists are the group that killed these girls. They were all domestic terrorists, and they still operate online, and they have a lot of their friends and family and minions operating on the internet. And that's what I said. This case is it's a case of domestic terrorism. When the truth is revealed, it will be very clear to the people that this crime was committed by domestic terrorists and has been prolonged by domestic terrorists and is being covered up by domestic terrorists. And all the trolling that goes on around it on the internet are the actions and the result of domestic terrorism. This is a case. It's a social media case perpetrated by domestic terrorists in Indiana. And that will be proven. It will be proven. All right. Take that to the bank. All right. So Yaya Kelly says, support the Prof on Cash App. Please do. Please do it. And AKR 3121 says, hey, Prof and everyone. All right. Donnie, what's up, Donnie? I subbed yesterday to this channel and came in here today and wasn't a subscriber. No, because we have 2 channels, okay? You must have subbed to the backup channel, which is the Prof True Crime. And then today you came into the Prof, which is the main channel. So thank you very much for subbing to both channels. And I'd like everyone to be aware of that. We have the 2 channels, and I spread out all the community posts and the videos between both channels. So if you want the full production, you got to be subscribed to both channels. And that's just the way I did it. I chose to do it. All right, what's up, Carol? You have a wrench in your hands right now. What are you talking about, Carol? You must also be confused about the backup channel. Okay. You see the wrench? And Ellie and all city officials, what a hot mess is in Delphi. Okay, great, great. What's up, commentator Root? Good to see you here. All right, welcome in. So we're all here. All right, so everyone's here. Thank you very much for being here. I feel like I can get started now. I've said hello to everyone. It's horrifying to see how many evil people can come together to ruin a person's life on many occasions. Yes, and to cover up the brutal slaughter of 2 little girls in Delphi, Indiana in 2017. And they've been doing it for 7 years. They've killed, they've threatened to kill, they've run people off, and they've harassed, doxxed, intimidated, and cyber stalked and real life stalked to cover up these murders. And it's what we're dealing with, domestic terrorists. To the prof, I remember 1 year ago I was commenting that I felt RA was innocent and I got hammered for my comment. Well, people are still getting hammered now. It's a widespread tactic of the lodge dwellers to recruit LEO and magistrates. Hey, y'all, what's up? It's a new day. All right. So you guys get on in here and we'll get started. So as I mentioned, let me pull this down. Okay, coffee's done. Now, as I've mentioned, the purpose of today's show is to go back through the entire case of the prosecution that's been presented since the first day of trial, and to show to you where I found holes or contradictions, etc. To show you that there's something not right here, okay? Because it's clear that there's something not right for most people. But I figured it was worthy of a critique, just to point out some of the major red flags, okay? And there's so much more that we don't have time to. And remember, we don't have transcripts, okay? We don't have footage or video of the trial. We don't have audio. All we have to base our criticism on is the testimony and the notes of people coming out, okay, of the courtroom, who have gone through the hardships of placing themselves in the courtroom. And there's a reason for that. Okay, this judge wanted to hide the absolute catastrophe and embarrassment and criminal undertaking that this case is. And so she did so. And she's made it extremely difficult for people to gain an understanding of what's transpired in the courtroom with an unbiased take, because instead of documentation, instead of anything that would make sense, all we've got is scant notes and recollections from attendees who each have their own prejudices, their own biases, their own perspectives, their own perspective lenses that they're filtering this through. And it's just a damn shame, because in any normal world, we would be able to I guess, gain an unbiased accounting, whether it be video, audio recordings, or in-depth, detailed transcripts on a timely basis. But of course, we're not getting any of that. So that's what it is, okay? What's up, Hello Kitty? I'm trying to put you up on the screen here. All right, no cameras for a reason. All right. What's the short version of the motive for the crime? Where you're assuming there has to be a motive. I think that that there could be many reasons, whether someone walked into a criminal undertaking. If these girls, like Carrie Timmons initially said, she thought they could have walked into some guys cooking meth in the woods that day. and seen something they shouldn't have, and someone took it upon themselves to deal with it by killing them. That could be a motive. It could be a targeted crime where the motive is to silence the daughter of a federal snitch. Okay. A CI. It could be that a CI killed another CI's child. It's very difficult to know without having a very good understanding of exactly what transpired. But here's what we do know: it's criminal underworld undertaking. What does that mean? It means that regardless of what you've been told about this Lone Wolf Bridge guy, which never happened, it's all a fantasy. But what really happened, and what actually happened, is that there's a criminal underground functioning, and the families of these two victims were both involved in the criminal underworld. Okay. All the people that were there in the 24 to 48 hours prior to this crime happening in that exact, very, very, very same location, they were all felons, meth dealers, meth cooks, meth users, including some murderers and etc. gang members. That is what we've dealt with. Okay. That's what really happened. Now you have to ask yourself, why would law enforcement cover up the crimes of these types of people? Why would law enforcement endeavor to cover up a double murder of two little girls that was committed by a bunch of meth heads, meth dealers, felons, CIs? Why? We really don't know, but there's a reason. Now, Rebecca says money. Yeah, it could be money. Could be money. But it's my opinion that that's what exactly happened. That's what we're looking at. And that's what's been hidden from you for years. As I mentioned, why do you think thousands of bikers showed up within days? When does that ever happen? I believe you're looking at one biker affiliated contingent upon another. Okay. Biker on biker crime, one percenter. Let's put it more clearly because I want you guys to really, really, really understand. One percenter versus one percenter crime. Crime on crime. Okay. One percenter versus one percenter crime. Domestic terrorists. What happened? Thousands of bikers show up to rally. And this group endeavored to keep this crime hidden for 7.5 years using the internet. Why? Because that's what they're good at. That's what they're good at. Okay. They're good at using the internet. Here's the thing. What do domestic terrorists primarily use in this day and age as their tool of facilitating their criminal network? It's the internet. It's the internet. And I'm not going to tell you why I know that, but trust me. Trust me, the source If I told you the source for that particular statement, all of your jaws would hit the floor. All of your jaws would hit the floor. All of your jaws would absolutely slam down to the pavement if I told you which individual confirmed for me that online is the way things are done these days. So I'll tell a couple in private, and I'll leave it at that. All right. So that's what we're looking at. Anyway, let's get on. Let's get on with it. So please enjoy the chat. All right. Let's get into the presentation. This will be interesting. See if I can manage to read along so I don't get too lost. Now, of course, you know that we were going to start with Becky Patty. Of course we will. Now, what you'll notice as we go through all of this, I am not going through every moment play by play. Okay, if that's what you need, if that's what you'd like, I would recommend some of the attorneys on the case. Basically, your attorneys on the case, they're coming out of court every day and giving you the play by play. Okay, so if you need that, go get that elsewhere. What I'm going to give you today are the red boxes. Okay, where these are notes. Now, I really want to thank the beautiful Sleuthy Goosey for these notes. She's done an amazing job of making some notations. And so these, some of these excerpts are drawn from Sleuthy Goosey's notes, and I want to thank her for that. And here, I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to be drawing your attention to some contradictions, et cetera, et cetera. And so we're going to get started here. This is Becky Patty. And in Becky Patty's testimony, we learned some interesting things. Okay. Libby was wearing a tie-dyed shirt and gray sweatpants. Sound familiar? Gray sweatpants. Didn't pay attention to what Abby was wearing, couldn't identify. Because see, we start off with an intense problem here. Okay, a very, very serious problem. And the very serious problem is that clothing does not match. Okay, clothing does not match. This is a serious problem for a murder victim. I find it interesting how people like to downplay how serious of a problem this is. Serious. But of course, all the shills and the troll farm creators will tell you it's a nothing burger. People's memory fail. It's no big deal. It doesn't mean anything. Has no relevancy. Yeah, but I beg to differ. I mean, you found my son dead. What he was last in and what he's found in would matter. Okay, it would matter. So, first anomaly here. What were those girls wearing? What on earth were they wearing? At the point when they were last seen alive. Which brings up another question. When were they last seen alive? What were they wearing when they were last seen alive? And when were they last seen alive? Huge question. Because we know what they're found in. Okay, so there's some reverse engineering here because it all has to make sense. That's the thing with these people from the very beginning. They've always wanted you to accept a story with holes in it, with things that don't make sense. Have you all recognized that fact? That you've been asked for 7.5 years to listen to and believe stories with gaping holes in them. Stories that don't make sense. If your loved one was murdered, would you believe anyone with a story that didn't make sense? Would you accept a narrative with holes in it? Things that don't connect? Where the logic does not lock up? I mean, we are talking about two little girls here. Don't get it twisted. No matter how old they were or mature for their age or whatever they were involved in, these are two little girls. Little girls. If you don't believe it, go look at videos of them. Two little girls. And here in our story already, clothing, huge logical fallacy, leaps in logic you have to make. Bottom line, what clothes were they in when they were last seen? And when were they last seen? There's no wiggle room in that. But with this story, it's nothing but holes. But on the stand, Becky Patty says Libby was wearing a tie-dyed shirt and gray sweatpants. Doesn't know what Abby was wearing. Well, we know what Abby was found in, and it wasn't gray sweatpants. Where are the gray sweatpants? Anyway, about 3:30 p.m., Derek called Becky and said, "Libby's not answering her phone. He's here to pick her up and she's not here. Can you try her?" Becky tried to call, tried to text. Nobody was getting an answer. This had never happened before. They knew Abby didn't have a phone and this was just off. Really? Well, where did the Abby on the bridge Snapchat photo come from? If Abby didn't have a phone, where did the Abby on the bridge Snapchat come from? Because it did not come from Libby's phone or the phone that was with Libby. So, see, we have a little conundrum here. We have an Abby on the bridge Snapchat that comes from somewhere, but it's not from the phone that was with Libby. They knew that Abby didn't have a phone and this was just off. They knew that this was off, so they decided maybe they needed to go look for them. Becky called Mike, told him they were going to the trails to look. Cody came and pulled up as well. They parked at the trails. They knew if the girls had maybe decided to walk home, there were basically two ways they could go. They checked those routes first. The girls were not there. They went to the Mears trailhead and parked. When they got there, Becky called AT&T and was on the phone with them a while to see if they would ping the phone. She said they would not do it. Hmm. Hmm. This is not smelling right. When she got there, the grandfather who was there said that Anna was at work. She headed to Anna's workplace, and Anna called while Becky was on the way there. They agreed to go to the police station. They all met up at the police station. Police asked for a description. They asked for photos. She said she had last seen them at the house and believed them to be out at the High Bridge trails. She described what they were wearing. Oh, yeah, what was that? Let's ask about that. Maybe do we need to ask the police what they were initially described as wearing? Does Libby have jeans on or sweatpants? She was very specific about black Nikes, that Libby was wearing black Nikes. She originally said Libby was wearing gray sweats, but realized she wasn't because she was cleaning up Libby's room and found the sweats. Where are they now? She realized that she had changed at some point in time and didn't know, but her black Nikes she wore all the time. They were at the police station until well after midnight. Who is they? So question here about the pants, okay? And of course, the troll farm will say, it doesn't matter. She misremembered. Maybe she changed without her knowing. Okay, that's been the gaslight. Okay, so the gaslight is maybe Libby had on the gray sweatpants, but in between the time she last saw Libby and the time Libby gets out of the house to go away, Libby takes off the gray sweatpants, puts on jeans. Why? For 6 years, do you tell the entire world repeatedly gray sweatpants? It was never anything other than gray sweatpants. Well, when did you find the damn gray sweatpants? Okay, because the excuse is that, let's read it again. She originally said, second to last sentence in the red box. She originally said Libby was wearing gray sweats, but realized she wasn't because she was cleaning up Libby's room and she found the sweats. She realized she changed at some point in time and didn't know. Well, hold on. When were you cleaning the room and found the gray sweats? Was it just after the crime scene photos were leaked? Smells like you didn't clean up that room until the crime scene photos were leaked. And then magically you go clean up the room and find the gray sweats? Because for 6 years, it was never anything other than gray sweatpants on Libby. Exact. Another good point. Another good point. But Kelsey was 100% sure she knew what Libby was wearing. Unfucking real. I'm sorry. Sorry for the language. Sorry for the language. It's unreal. Absolutely unreal. Which brings us back around to the question. When were those girls last seen? Because whenever they were last seen, surely the person who last saw them would have known what pants were on Libby. For 6 years, you told the world, all of you, Libby had on gray sweatpants. So when were you cleaning the room and found the gray sweats? And why didn't you immediately rectify that with the public and law enforcement? Because it smells like you didn't change the story till you realize what was in the photos that were leaked. Sorry, I don't mean to belabor the point. Let's continue. By the way, I want to say, um, I meant to say this at the beginning, and I apologize for forgetting. This show here today is dedicated to Joe Lewis, Mr. Joe Lewis. I'll ask you all to pray for Mr. Joe Lewis. He's very ill at this moment with COVID. Please pray for him. Okay, this show here, this is dedicated to Mr. Joe Lewis, and I ask you to send your prayers for Mr. Joe Lewis. Okay. He's very ill right now. Thank you. It's a new day. Swear jar. Okay, I'm trying to control it. I really am. Thank you. Please pray for Joe Lewis. I meant to say that at the opening. Feel like I messed it up, but I still mean it. All right. All right. So, God bless Joe. All right. All right. Thank you, guys. If the girls had tried to get home, says Becky Patty, they were searching in the fields out in the area just in case something happened or they had gotten overlooked. They were away from the trails. So she was walking back to her car after they had searched that area when a friend came up and said they found them. So she ran to her car and she drove in her car over to the Mears trailhead. She ran up to a fireman and said, "Take me to Libby." And he said no. So she turned around and saw her sister Melissa was crying, and she ran up to Melissa and said, "See this whole narrative right here, I give zero shits about this whole narrative. This sounds like a violin, a sad violin playing, a drama. It almost sounds like a script. Don't care about it. I'm sorry. I wouldn't tell her anything. Mike came out and they went back to the truck. He sat her down in the truck while he went to talk to somebody. Becky at this point is confused. She still doesn't understand why nobody's talking to her. Why wouldn't they take her to her? She saw the coroner's van go by, and that's how she knew. That's when she realized. They called the family up to the firehouse and formally announced Libby had passed. It hadn't even crossed her mind when they... Hold on. Is that all a lie? Is this just to try to create some story about how you found out she was dead? Didn't you find out another way earlier? I mean, when she first got killed, didn't you just know then? Seems like a soap opera. Oh, right. Good one. Yeah. Kelsey had said there was a Snapchat of Libby as well. Remember that one? Remember that fucking story? That's unbelievable. That there was a Libby Snapchat that showed her. So wouldn't you have known what she was wearing from that and that it wasn't gray sweatpants? Come on now. Come on now. Because these stories, like I said, the holes in these stories don't make sense. You're asked to look over these all of these holes in these stories. But let's continue. Derek German. Now remember, these people are on the witness stand making these statements. Just keep in mind, all of these statements are being made on the witness stand. Under oath. Sorry, I don't do leaps in logic. Don't do leaps in logic. Just don't do it. Not in a double homicide of two little girls. Not going to happen. Derek German. Very familiar with Abby. Picked up Abby the night before to spend the night at their house. Picked up Abby the night before, Sunday night. Sunday night, picked up Abby to spend the night at their house. Picked up Libby from another friend's house Sunday, as she had been at a sleepover Saturday night. Okay, so are we getting this story now? Okay, are we getting what's told on the stand? Okay, now what's being told. Sunday night, Derek German picks up Abby, picks up Libby from a friend's house. Derek German picks up Abby. Derek German picks up Libby on the witness stand under oath. The next morning, he made banana pancakes under oath on the witness stand. As far as the changing stories, Becky tried to say they remember things differently. So did Kelsey. That way they can adjust for pieces that don't make any sense. Yes. And as soon as we remember, we contact law enforcement and make them aware. Okay. Sunday morning, Kelsey picked up Libby at Allison's house. Now the fairy tale continues with Anna, Cliff, and Abby driving to pick up Libby at the Patties to play ball at 1:30. Mike Patty said when he first made his public appearance that the girls played ball in his front yard before Anna took them to the park. Then the story changes again. Anna took the girls back to her house to pick up, what was it? Paints and clothes with Abby because Abby wanted to stay the night at the Patties. And she went home to get Abby's belongings and the paint set. Well, hold on. hold on here. If Anna dropped off both girls at the house, how in the hell does Derek go pick up both girls? I'd like to know. I'd like to know because right now on the witness stand, Derek goes to pick up Abby. Derek goes to pick up Libby. There's more. There's more. On the way to the trails, he did not pass the camera at the harvest store. He came the opposite way, placing himself at Wilson Bridge at 311. Allegedly, he had not been out on the trails or the bridge before. He's not a hiker, didn't spend time there. He tried calling first from Wilson Bridge, just a couple minutes away. Didn't get an answer. I've mentioned all over the place for a long time now. For years, trying to get ahead of the story at placing him at Wilson Bridge, explaining why is he at Wilson Bridge, putting him at Wilson Bridge, going so far as to say, I got the phone records that prove his phone was at Wilson Bridge at 311. Why does he not pass the camera? Why is he at Wilson Bridge? And why the huge attempt to place him at Wilson Bridge using phone records and narrative spinning for 7 years? And remember, part of the story was this too. He gets there, he calls again. So now we're making another excuse for another call when you arrive. So for some odd reason, it's a big deal that you're at Wilson Bridge and that there's a timestamp and there's phone records and there's an explanation of why. And then magically, there's another explanation that you're calling from Highbridge. Saw that there were other cars parked there. He runs into David McCain. David McCain. All right. Now, check this one out. Derek and Tara are sitting in the car, looking like they're doing a drug deal. Shady AF. Cheyenne passes. They don't even stop her to say, "Did you see our daughters? Did you see two little girls?" Anyway, next weird anomalies. Kelsey and Cody arrived. Kelsey and Cody arrived. They said they were going across the bridge, so he went back to the car. Kelsey had parked there, so he got in her car and was trying to figure out what to do next. Then Mike and Becky came, and they had to park outside because by this point you couldn't fit any more cars in the parking lot. So they parked across the street at Mears. Becky is making calls to AT&T. Derek goes back on the trail. Cops and people are starting to show up and make things to the bridge. All hell is breaking loose. Remember when we went through our timeline video, Timelines Part 1, Phantomime. Go watch it if you need to. Because by 3:58, all hell is breaking loose. The freakout has begun. It's still light out, and they go to the police station. Becky and Cody went downtown to look around after the police station so they could look at some of the parts of the trail system. They checked other sections of the trail that go through downtown area. They didn't find anything. Does that mean Riley Park? Does that mean Farm Bureau building? So you're checking fields. You're checking routes to the Patty household. Why don't you go and knock on Anna's door? Okay, Anna's. Now you're downtown. Maybe Riley Park. Maybe looking all around. An entire freak out. The entire family there. You're bringing in all kind of outsiders. Full on frenzied freak out. 358. He basically covered a large section that is west of and beneath the cemetery over to the ravine. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. Hold on now. Hold on here. It's getting wacky. It's getting wacky. Where are those girls found the next morning? Where are the girls found? The girls are found just on the other side of that ravine on Ron Logan's property in the morning. You're telling me before dark, you're going down to the ravine. See, basically covered a large section on the north side of the creek that is west of and beneath the cemetery over to the ravine. The ravine he described as being too steep to be able to cross. But you could see way onto the other side. They continued the search until 12 a.m. He could see flashlights on the other side of the water under the high bridge. He saw no flashlights on the far side of the ravine. He went back to his car and went home. He goes home. Everyone else is at the police station. All the grown men are starting to get, all the first responders, the firemen, the police department, they're all getting afraid because it's dark now. It's really scary because it's midnight. So it's time for everyone to go home. Derek German's timeline is that 3:11 p.m. is when he made the first call to Libby. According to his initial testimony, this would have been when he was a couple minutes away at Wilson Bridge. He estimated it was 3:25 when he was coming from High Bridge and he saw the couple down there taking pictures. He didn't hear anything like screams or anything like that. He saw lots of lights between 10 p.m. and midnight. They were on the surface road facing back towards the creek. It was bright enough to illuminate the opposite side of the creek. There were tons. Look at the use of the word. Okay? You see? I mean, just notice what we're looking at here. Please, please notice it. I know I'm begging. I know I sound desperate, but I just want you to notice the red box and what the anomalies are. Lots of lights between 10 and midnight. It was bright enough to illuminate the opposite side of the creek. Tons of people out looking for the girls, including damn near the entire volunteer fire department and some cops and the entire family. And there's tons of people looking for the girls. Again, let's look at this. Remember this. This was the story for 6.5 years. 1:30 or 2? No. Let's get this together. Okay. Remember what Derek said just now, what we just read on the stand under oath. I picked up Abby. I picked up Libby. Okay, let's look. Sunday morning, Kelsey picked up Libby from a sleepover at her friend's, Allison's house. 1:30 or 2, Anna, her dad, and Abby picked up Libby and they went to practice softball at the local park. Abby decided to stay the night at Libby's house. Anna took girls to her house where she and Abby lived with her mother and stepfather to pick up Abby's paint supplies and personal belongings up for a sleepover at Libby's. 6:30. Anna dropped the girls, plural, off at Libby's house where she lives with her grandparents. Becky and Mike Patty, Libby's father, Derek German, also lived in the home. How does this work? Someone explain to me, because I'm not very smart. Things have to make sense for me to believe them. So you had an entire family telling you for almost 7 years, nearly 7 years, that Anna dropped both girls off at Libby's house at 6:30 p.m. But Derek went to pick up each of the girls. This is a double homicide of 2 little young children. Double homicide. This right here is not made up by the general public. This is the family's narrative for 7 years about what happened the night before. Anna dropped the girls off at Libby's house, both girls, after going get the art supplies and clothes. You seeing something wrong? Okay, so now we're moving on to Kelsey. Remember, this is not the transcript. This is not a video from the courthouse, from the courtroom. This is not the entire notes that we have. These are my excerpts of the holes in the state's case. So how is that going to be explained? All right. Now we're getting to Miss Kelsey, because it doesn't get any better with Miss Kelsey. Trust me. Gets no better. She had given Abby one of her sweatshirts that were in the back of the car. Well, yeah, we heard that one for 7 years. We've heard that fucking story. The big deal made over that repetitively, repeatedly, exaggerating, making a big deal over that story. We've heard that before. She described it as a slim sweatshirt. It was brand new, hadn't been worn. Abby's wearing a gray zip-up jacket. She also remembered Libby grabbing something out of her car. She described that she would keep changes of clothes and stuff in her car pretty regularly. She had a box in the back of the car that had different pieces of clothing in it. On the way there, they were playing music, laughing. They were taking selfies. Yes, we've heard ad nauseum that they were listening to the heathens, right? Heathens. Libby posted one of the selfies, admitted as an exhibit. Libby took it. She's in the front seat. It's very close to her face, like part of her face. You can see the back seat behind her and Abby sitting in the back. Yeah, but guess what? This is not proof of life. Is it a Facebook live stream? Is it a YouTube live stream? Or is it an upload? Let's go back because I have to rub this in. I've said it before, but for those of you who are new, you know what else is not proof of life? Look right here. Musical.ly video posted around 3 a.m. Okay. Guess what? Guess what, y'all? That's not proof of life either. It's not proof of life. That's an upload. An upload is not a live stream. Okay. The Musical.ly video right here, posted around 3 a.m. That's not proof of life. What else ain't proof of life? Snapchat selfie on the way to the trails. That ain't proof of life. Sorry, I'm having a little itchy sinuses. Let's continue. After Kelsey's boyfriend left for work, Grandma Becky had called Kelsey about 4 p.m. Remember, there's a huge freak out happening at 3:58 p.m. Go watch my timeline part 1 video. And that's when Kelsey learned Libby and Abby were missing. She goes out to the bridge. She and Cody walked out to the high bridge and went across. Nobody else in the family went across the bridge. After they got to the end of the bridge, they turned left and went down to the driveway that goes underneath the bridge. Oh, is that where the disturbed ground is? You know, the disturbed ground that the troll farm wants you to believe are the victims and Richard Allen going down the hill. That disturbed ground? You mean where Kelsey and Cody walked and disturbed the ground? Is it adding up? Are you guys fucking figuring out what I'm saying here? They turned left, went down to the driveway that goes underneath the bridge, meaning they went down the hill like they want you to believe Abby and Libby did, and Richard Allen. They disturbed the ground when doing so, because guess what? If you ever go yourself out there, you would realize that you would disturb the ground, especially when it's a little wet. Francis, I'm going to delete you. Okay? Stop the gaslight. Okay, so you get what I'm saying? They go down the hill, disturbing the ground as they go. They took the driveway in the opposite direction of Brad Weber's. The reason they went this way is because they thought Abby's house was kind of down in that direction. No, they fucking knew. You're telling me they don't know where Abby lives? Are you trying to convince me that they don't know where Abby lived? Come on. They didn't see anyone, come across anyone. So Kelsey and Cody come back across the bridge. So they go back up. Don't you think they would have to disturb even more ground going back up that hill? At this point, it's starting to get dark, but not dark yet. At this point, they think maybe the girls were out in the woods. Let me remove Adrian. You can see that. You see the last sentence in the box? At this point, it's starting to get dark. They think maybe the girls are out in the wood. Well, wouldn't you then start to look in all of the woods, especially behind Ron Logan's house? All right, let's continue. She saw that Libby had posted some Snapchat images. The first was a picture of just the bridge. You mean the one Cheyenne took? The second was a picture of Abby on the bridge. You mean the one that didn't come from Libby's phone? It looks like the same day, according to her, because it had timestamps on it. Oh, you guys just wait. You guys put that in the back of your head. Timestamps. Moving on. She recognized the clothing that Abby was wearing. If somebody saves the image or screenshots it, Snapchat will notify you. No, it won't. How can Snapchat know that someone has screenshot the image? Come on now. She said she didn't hear from Libby that day. After her search with Cody, she goes to the police station. After the police station, she goes home. She did not return to the trails that night because everyone was tired and it was scary and everyone went home. The next day, she helped with the search. The search. Now, when you move the bodies, More of Miss Kelsey's testimony. Thank you, Kathy, for becoming a member. And thank you, everyone, for hitting like, leaving a super chat, becoming a member, joining the comment section if you're on the replay, and also for most of all, for joining the chat, the live chat. Thank you for being in the chat. If you're just lurking, please join the chat. Everyone's nice here for the most part. No one's going to beat you up because our mods won't allow that. We're not having it. All right. It was around 4 p.m. that she found out the girls were missing, and the search was after that. Well, I don't know about that. Remember, the family arrived before 4 p.m., so the search was already ongoing. She connected with her uncle Cody, and the reason they went directly to the bridge was because of the Snapchat photo. So they knew the girls had been there, and that was the last information about their location. She described the bridge as having big gaps. Well, hold on. I thought that someone else. Wait, how did Cody get to those trails? How did Cody get to those trails? Because the stories don't add up. This is the first time she went across, so she did so on her hands and knees. Nah, this is more theater. This is more theater. No, this is more theater. Come on now. More theater. Yeah, how did Cody get there? Rode with Becky. Wait, I thought he rode with Kelsey. Or did he ride a motorcycle? Huh? How did Cody get out there? Another one. Kelsey goes across on her hands and knees. Really? Are we to believe that? Are we? She said, no way you would run across. You would not run across the bridge. It would be dangerous. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Some time is now spent in court looking at the picture of Abby on the bridge. Abby on the bridge. Ha ha ha. The Photoshop conundrum. Yes, indeed. Abby on the bridge. How did that photo get to this case? Into this case? How did that photo of Abby on the bridge get interjected into this case when it's not on the victim's phone? Kelsey had seen this photo many times. I bet she had. Libby was in front, turns around to take picture of Abby, and is therefore facing the direction of the beginning of the bridge. Kelsey can tell where they are is not very far across the bridge because you can still see the water from the creek. She estimated it was about 25% of the way across the bridge. Really? 25% away across the bridge? Who would say that? The defense introduced the photo of Abby on the bridge as an exhibit. Oh, baby. No, baby. Ho, 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 ho. Here we go with kryptonite. Here we go with some kryptonite. Do you understand? Do you understand? Ladies and gentlemen, the kryptonite has been inserted into the evidence in the trial of State versus Richard Allen in the case of the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. Christopher Cecil. Miss Auger points to the photo of the Abbey on the Bridge photo that Christopher Cecil got from the internet, and she asked him where he found it. He thinks he did a Google search. He doesn't remember what he searched for. The timestamp on the photo says 7 hours ago. Nobody knows what that means. Miss Auger then presented the defense exhibit A that's already been introduced. She represented it as being the original picture. The original picture has no date or timestamp. He doesn't know who put the 207 marking on that photo. It's just some random person out on the internet. We don't know when the photo was actually posted looking at the photo. Is that silence I'm hearing? Is that silence I'm hearing from the naysayers? Christopher Cecil, digital forensic expert for the state of Indiana, says he doesn't know who put the 2:07 p.m. marking on that photo. It's just some random person out on the internet. We don't know when the photo was actually posted from looking at the photo. At 1:40 p.m., there's a photo taken. It was found in the Snapchat cache. At 1:41, there's a photo taken. It was found in the Snapchat cache. At 1:43, there's a photo taken. It was found in the Snapchat cache. At 2:05, there's a photo taken. It was found in the Snapchat cache. He did not find one from 2:07 p.m., and it's also not on the camera roll. Miss Auger asks if one possible explanation could have been that it was posted to her account from another device. He said, possibly, yes, could have been done. It gets even better. It gets even better. If you think this is bad, it gets even better. Thank you very much, Adrian. Thank you. Did the FBI investigate that photo by going to Snapchat directly? I'm about to show you. Listen to this. Jury questions. Jury questions. Okay. Jury questions. In the first report, the picture of the Monon High Bridge at 2:05 p.m. with nobody in the image. Did you locate it? He said he didn't. He said he didn't. What have we always said about that photo? Cheyenne. Christopher Cecil. So we saw in his first report was admitted to evidence. We worked through what was contained in the report. The report confirmed two people, Libby and Abby, had both been users of the phone. They both had user accounts for different apps and programs. Listen to me now. Listen. Libby and Abby were both users of the phone found with Libby. Both had user accounts for different apps and programs, plural. There was biometric data, Touch ID enabled, and there were 3 biometric fingerprints saved. Abby's fingerprint was one of them. Thank you, Starlight. Thank you. Thank you guys for the super chats. Okay. He's now going to move on to some Apple Health data. So I'll just let you screenshot this if you need to. And we'll move on to Apple Health because it gets even more interesting. From about 1:30 p.m. to 2:08 p.m., Apple Health data notated 1,682 steps. Okay. Let me preface it with this before we get into this. Remember, as we get into this Apple Health data, it does not mean the victims are holding the phone, moving with it. So it does not mean these are Libby's and Abby's steps. It does not mean this is Libby's and Abby's timeline. We are only talking about the phone right now. Okay? Erase from your mind Libby and Abby. Only think of phone moving. Hey, Spooky. Hey, we can start now. Thanks for being here. We can start. From about 1:30 to 2:08, Apple Health data notated 1,682 steps. Question. FBI says the phone arrives at approximately 1 p.m. State of Indiana says the girls arrive 1:49 p.m. or so. How is it between 1:30 and 2:08, 1,682 steps are noted? That's a lot of steps. Between 2:08 and 2:18, it recorded traveling 414.38 meters. From 2:31 to approximately 2:32, The Apple Health data showed a movement equivalent to 2 flights of stairs elevation change, not noticing or indicating whether it's upward or downward elevation change. However, 2:32 p.m. is the last record of movement of the phone. Now, let's reverse engineer that. Let's reverse engineer that one. Okay. 2:32 p.m. That phone is placed at the spot on Ron Logan's property where it is found the next day. You got it? That's what this says to me. I don't need an expert to tell me that, because the expert has told us at 2:32 p.m. last recorded movement of the phone. So 2:32 p.m. the phone is at the location it is found the next day. 10 minutes prior, the phone is showing a 2-story change of elevation, which you cannot go upwards 2 stories to where that crime scene is, meaning it was definitely downward motion, 2 stories. You got it? So 10 minutes prior, or actually 9, prior to the phone landing where it is, it goes down a hill, which if you were coming from the cemetery, it's pretty much the only way, unless you're coming from the, I would suppose if you're coming across that ravine from the area near the High Bridge, it would also show. But in general, either from the cemetery or from the trail by the High Bridge, that phone descends 2 stories and ends up where it is. And keep in mind, prior to that, it moved 414.38 meters. Prior to that, 1,682 steps. So what happens, because you're not moving 1,682 steps before the moment that you start going down to the crime scene. So what's being done with that phone? Who has that phone, and where is that phone going? Too bad we can't see the geofencing, right? Don't you think that we should be able to see on a map the motions of that phone and the others that were geofenced out there? Anyway, it gets more odd when you're considering all of those motions of the phone. Okay, keep those in mind. Keep those in mind. Because over that, you have to overlap this. So overlap this right here. At 1:38 p.m., there was a phone call made while the phone was charging and Snapchat was being used. Okay. At 1:41, there's a Snapchat posted. He was able to find the photo from the Snapchat application. At 1:43, there's another Snapchat posted. That's the first exhibit from the state. It's a selfie taken in the car that shows Libby and Abby in the car. Now, keep in mind, during this interval, there's 1,682 steps happening. At 2:05, there's a Snapchat post uploaded of the empty bridge. He was able to find that on the phone. Now, 2:07 is the last time the phone was unlocked. He does not note when the photo of Abby was posted. Well, obviously, because it's not. 2:13 is when the video was recorded of Abby walking across the bridge with the person behind her. He said this is a 43-second video. Well, what he doesn't tell you is where were the GPS coordinates of where that video was uploaded from. So interesting. What's going on here? Why the conflicts? Now, here's where the glitches start. At 2:14, somebody tries to biometrically unlock the phone, but's unsuccessful. And as we've mentioned, the phone is traveling. It then shows a descending 2 flights of stairs, or what I call a 2-story descent down to the crime scene where it lands at 2:32. How do you explain it all? How do you? So, give me a moment to cough. We'll move on to our next segment. As you see, we're left with more questions than answers. More questions than answers. All we know is that 2:32, after a descent of 2 stories, the phone lands at its resting place. Okay, so I don't have answers, but those are the questions we're left with. Now let's move on. Here we're going to have a very, very, very wonderful witness, Rayleigh Voorhees. Pardon me. Okay, Rayleigh Voorhees. Let's see. Now, as I said, we're talking about contradictions today. Oh. Rayleigh Voorhees describes Bridge Guy as being overdressed for the weather, like in layers, in darker clothes. Oh, we'll be getting to that momentarily. Remember, something just ain't right. His face was covered up to the nose. He had a mask on and he had white skin. He's a white guy. He has a hat and a hoodie. You couldn't see his hands because they're in his pockets. A couple days after the bodies were found, Bridge Guy image is released. She saw it on Facebook and instantly knew that was the man she had waved at who didn't respond. So she is claiming, without a doubt, that she absolutely saw Bridge Guy. She described him as being in black jeans with a black coat, black boots, black mask, black hat, hands in pockets, early 20s or 30s, bigger build, but it could have been the heavier clothing. Okay, now let's review those points. Because remember, we now know that the Bridge Guy image that has been ingrained into our minds over these years is a fabrication. You see, interpolation means adding that which is not there. It's a creation out of thin air. It's a fantasy. Rayleigh says, all black, covered from head to toe. Are you getting it? Is it making sense to those people way in the back? All black, head to toe, covered. Remember, he was described as overdressed, in layers, face covered up to the nose, with a mask on, hat, and a hoodie. Black coat, black jeans, black boots, black mask, black hat, early 20s or 30s. Bigger build. In actuality, in 2017, February 17, only 3 days after this, only 3 days later, she says, dirty blonde hair, brown eyes, wrinkly kind of face, early 20s or 30s, remember, square jaw. In 2021, she indicated that she herself is 5'7", and that man they passed was taller than her, estimating him approximately 5'10". 5'10". In all black. All black, dirty blonde hair, 20s to 30s, brown eyes, square jaw, 5'10". Okay, so let's move on. Betsy Blair says 20s or 30s. Hello? Is this lining up? Is this matching? Brown, poofy hair. Young man. beautiful in his appearance. Average height, not short. Baldwin points at the image of Bridge Guy and says, "This is who you saw?" Yes, it was. She previously described the guy as tall, that she stood as tall as his upper forearm. So she is describing a much taller man. She said that he was muscular. He was a younger guy. She believed she might have told police that he was in his early 30s, but she was saying that in 2020, 3 years later. Had something on his hair, on his head. Bree Wilbur. Okay. Are we getting an image of this guy? Hair, 20s, tall, muscular, square jaw, fully covered, all black. Brienne said she had learned that Libby was going out to the High Bridge because Libby had messaged her on Snapchat after seeing her photo of the High Bridge and asked if they were still out there. They were still on the trail when she got the message. She responded they had just left the High Bridge 10 minutes ago. Later, she learned Abby and Libby were missing. She was at home and was with Kelsey when Kelsey's grandma called to let Kelsey know. Hold on. Didn't Kelsey receive the call when she was at the boyfriend's house? Am I confusing something here? Because I could be. In all seriousness, in all honesty, please let me know if I'm making the mistake. Bree Wilbur is saying she was at home with Kelsey when Kelsey's grandma called to let Kelsey know. That they were missing. I thought that I remembered that Kelsey was with the boyfriend's dad watching a movie. I mean, this disconnect is so grand. Something I don't know. Like, this is one that I still haven't figured out. Maybe I'm missing something. But why would Bree say that? Remember, I met my boyfriend's dad. We're watching a movie. And at first I didn't hear the phone, but then the second time I heard that I had missed the first one or something. So I don't know what I'm getting wrong here. Could be nothing, could be something. Okay, so let's move on because I honestly don't know what to think about that. Okay. Let's move on to this because this is where we get into stuff. Okay. Please excuse me again. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Jeremy Chapman. Okay, this is an excerpt from his cross exam with Miss Auger. All right. Back to the concept of interpolation. Miss Auger brought up the concept of interpolation and these programs that he was using for audio enhancement. They use interpolation. Interpolation is a process where they have known information and they use that to extrapolate or predict what is not there. But what would be there? Oh, because it's psychic. Okay. All right. So, sorry, let me it's hard. It's so much. It's so much. It's so much. It's so much. It's hard to even do this. It's literally difficult to put this together in words for you. This is how enhancement helps improve the quality, is by essentially guessing what should be there in a better quality. He said you use that specifically in the resizing of the software, like resizing of images. So the software gives him a few different choices for interpolation. Jeez. Miss Auger elicited that when Chapman is going through and producing that bridge guy, because bridge guy is very tiny in the video, and they wanted a full screen capture, that isolation focused in, which is why it's such poor quality and is pixelated. It used an interpolation process to be able to produce that. Remember, interpolation is whereby they have known information and they use to extrapolate or predict or invent or magically produce out of thin air what is not there. It filled in the gaps. It created pixels. It is a zero burger. Now, with that in mind, remember this. This is from Brian Bunner. The video from the bridge described as 43 seconds, but the one played in court was approximately 30 seconds. It starts with the phone pointed down towards the bridge. Remember, 30 seconds. This is what you get. It comes up and turns back towards Abby from far end of bridge. You see Abby walking on bridge, and at first you don't see a man there. The video is shaky. It's like she has the phone in her hand and is just kind of walking or not paying attention to where she's pointing it. The phone then comes up towards the direction of the end of the bridge, and you see Abby in her red pink shirt run past the phone across the end of bridge. It sounds like Libby's voice saying there's no path down. This is the photo. This is the video. This is what for years you have all been mystified by. Further from Brian Brunner, when he looked at the camera roll, the photo of Abby on the bridge was not on the camera roll. There is metadata associated with the video, including latitude and longitude. Cellebrite has the ability to map that information. He prepared a map. The map went into evidence. The coordinates that were produced are nowhere near the bridge. Hello? They are about a mile away from the bridge. Miss Auger asked the witness to circle on the map where the coordinates are. He pointed it out to her, and she asked the witness to circle it for the jury. McClellan, of course, objects. He circles it. He did not look at the GPS and did not point out the discrepancy of the location data to investigators, but he did prepare this map. Ms. Auger points out that the photos he had taken of the phone screen were in landscape mode, not portrait mode. So because of that, there was information on the bottom of the screen that wasn't captured, permanently fucking lost. Ms. Auger talks about iMessaging. iMessages are specific to Apple and provide some additional features when both users access or have iPhones. iMessaging is more secure, encrypted, and Apple does not provide it to police. The witness is familiar with the operating system, but has limited understanding, meaning he doesn't know shit about iMessaging on a crime dealing with an iPhone. What kind of expert are we looking at here? McClellan objects again, overruled. They talked about the other thing that Apple provides, which is Find My iPhone. This allows a location sharing, particularly between devices. Libby had Find My iPhone enabled. What? The iPad was also connected to the iPhone because they were able to view Libby's cell phone history from the iPad. If you can access iCloud, you can delete, you can insert, you can view, you can track. There's absolutely no excuse. Is there any question here for you listeners? Is there any question about the things that they are saying to you? This is the state's expert. Sorry, I'm getting a little excited. I try not to yell into the mic. I just need to stop. Okay, I'm going to relax. Sorry for yelling in the mic. I don't like doing it. I just go berserker when I listen. How many years have we been telling you they are fucking lying? But we're the bad guys. We're the family bashers. Sorry, Cromley. I'll calm down. I'll calm down and go back over it because this is worth going back over because I don't think people understand. See, people who have not followed this case from the beginning, they don't understand what this is. The family told you Find My iPhone was not enabled because when we factory wiped the fucking phone, we didn't put it back on. You see, the family lied about the Find My iPhone being on. You see, the family had iCloud access to that goddamn phone. Yes, thank you, ACB. I am. Kelsey said she cleaned up and deleted stuff, cleaned up the socials. Remember this. Who had access to that phone? Abby and Libby. Kelsey, did you clean up both Abby's and Libby's socials? Both Abby and Libby's social. You had access. You had the ability to delete text messages, to delete iMessages, to delete photos, to add photos, upload photos, whatever you wanted. It's iCloud. Thank you, Jane. Judicial LE abuse is more prevalent than people know. Absolutely. I've seen it many times as a public defender. It's super sad that these girls' killers are out there. Okay. Now let's continue. I'm sorry. I can't keep reading the chat too much. Good point, sweet dude Shibby. Even wiped, the deleted content is still there until overwritten. Many free programs can get deleted files still there. Not just Celebrite. There's free stuff for jailbreaking iPhones. All right, back to this. Okay. I'm losing track here. Back to the top of the screen. Brian Bunner says, yes, Bridge Guy video, there's a map. Their latitude and longitude coordinates. Nowhere near the high bridge. Are we understanding? Let's continue. I'm belaboring this. I need to move on. Jesse Page. It gets worse, y'all. Why does it always get worse with everyone we do? Every show, it constantly gets worse. There were some notable characteristics about the bodies. One of the blood-stained patterns on Libby was what appeared to be blood flow from her neck. This was not flowing in direction it would have if she was upright. It was towards her eyes, nose, and mouth. On Libby's right thigh, there were several droplets of blood that had run perpendicular to her leg. Again, not the way gravity would pull it down if she were standing upright, which would have been parallel to her leg. Was she upside down at some point? Libby had quite a lot of blood on her. She had blood on both of her hands, blood on the bottom of her foot, blood on both legs, blood between her legs. When turned over, she had blood on her backside. See, nothing is as we've been told. Absolutely nothing is as we've been told. From Abby's feet at 2 o'clock, there is a tree that has blood stains and blood marks on it. There is one blood mark described as very high that is on the opposite side of the tree from where the girls' bodies were found. There's a second blood stain that is about halfway down the trunk towards the ground from the first blood stain. It's on the side of the tree. Had the girls been killed in this spot, there's no way for blood to get on the opposite side of the tree from where they were located. There was not nearly as much blood as the scene as you would expect had they been killed there. The only serious injury either of them had were the cuts to their throats. There would be a massive amount of blood loss from those injuries. Andrea had never seen crime scene photos of this type. It's an outdoor scene. The ground surface is all dry leaves and twigs. It's not absorbent. She expected substantially more blood than there was at the scene. The state is clearly focusing on the large pool of blood in this area, the largest one, basically between the girls and 6 o'clock from the girls' feet. There's no congealing in these puddles of blood. It's hard to estimate the size of the largest puddle, but it's roughly the size of a tea towel that you would use to dry your hands. Maybe a foot or so. 2. On top of that, there are sticks in the form of a bind rune placed on top of that puddle of blood. That shape matching the sticks formation on Abby. There's a small amount of blood directly under the girls where you could tell it would have seeped out from their injuries, a small amount. This is nowhere near the volume of blood of the human body. So it's raising a lot of questions. It doesn't look like they were killed there. No way. Okay. Darren Giancola. We got some interesting anomalies here. This is how he comes into the picture. He arrives at the sheriff's office at approximately 7:30 a.m. 7:30 a.m. He's tasked with getting permission to search. He's heading to a different part of 300 North because he had heard that somebody had a whole bunch of trail cameras on their property. He intended to go pull the footage. You guys get that yet? Are you catching the glitch? Whole bunch of trail cameras, 300 North, intended to go pull that footage. But on the way there, he gets a phone call from Tony Liggett telling him to go to the cemetery. He went there with Yoder and walked from the cemetery down to the woods. He described it as very steep. On his way down, he passed a woman coming back towards the cemetery, very distraught. He walked straight towards a creek from the southeast corner of the cemetery. He walked straight down to the creek and did not see the girls, but was notified that the girls had been found. He got to the water's edge and was able to see 4 people over to the north side. This was directly across from him where he. Everyone was pointing into the water. In the water, he saw a multicolored shirt and a tennis shoe that was stuck in the roots of trees over the bank, but still in the water. Okay. Let's see. Already done this. All right. Now we're going to talk about, oh man. I want to talk about a compromised witness for the state of Indiana, Sarah Carba, an absolute maniac. Listen, I'm not even going to comment much on this. My opinion, this woman lied on the stand. As local as you can get is her self-description, okay? Sarah does not cross the bridge. Did once when she was 16, but not inclined as an adult. Did not know Abby and Libby. She was driving by to be nosy and see how busy the trail was. Matter of fact, passed 3 or 4 times. Last time was around 4 o'clock, in which she saw a group which included a girl with bright blonde hair and a hot pink shirt. She was heading east. Really? Who's in a hot pink shirt with bright blonde hair? That don't sound like Abby, does it? Does that sound like Abby? Because isn't Abby the one in the pink shirt? I don't know if you'd call that bright blonde hair on that girl. We know what's captured on the Bridge Guy video, allegedly, is a pink shirt that smears by. You don't even see Abby well. Bright blonde hair and a hot pink shirt. Drove past the trailhead and saw a man she described to be covered in mud. I'm not even going to comment. And blood. She looked at him. He did not make eye contact with her. She was driving 30 to 35 miles an hour. But alleges she slowed down slightly when she saw him. Did not know Abby and Libby were missing. So didn't even think much of him, although he's muddy and bloody from the knees down, she says. Saw the photo of bridge guy on the news and recognized him as the man she saw on the road. Really? Really? Well, this is odd because let's see what you saw. Describes him as covered in mud and blood, well, since 2019. Jeans covered in mud, below knees covered in blood spatter. Thought maybe he had fallen down a cliff and hurt himself. She saw an orange hue behind him at the time, so thought it was around sunset. What? What? Sunset? Uh, Around 4 o'clock. Huh. 3 weeks later, contacted law enforcement because she was traumatized and an overthinker. Baldwin says, in your first interview, you said mud 11 times, but never said the word blood. She believes she did say it that day, but was nervous and mumbled, so law enforcement may have missed it. According to Baldwin, blood does not appear in the transcript. A couple of weeks later, she gave another statement to law enforcement in which she said mud 13 times and didn't say blood once. She believes she did say blood, but knows an hour to an hour and a half hours, an hour to an hour and a half is cut of that interview or missing. How does she know that? According to Baldwin, blood does not appear in that transcript either. Baldwin gave her the transcript, which she flipped through. She does not find the word blood, but thinks that she told the officer. Wouldn't that be the main thing you're saying about this guy? I mean, look, you got two murdered little kids right there in the woods, and you think you just saw the guy. You're saying that he had blood from the knees down. And you don't think that you would say that 25 times in the first two interviews? Come on. Come on. I mean, you're better than that. Aren't you? A third interview 2 years later where she never uses the word mud, only uses the word blood. Baldwin gives her the transcript, does not find the word mud in that transcript. Baldwin states, so I guess it's not true that your description has always been consistent, in which she responds, I guess not. Andrea says she seemed prepped that she was going to be challenged on this. Baldwin said, so did you stop to help him, being that he was covered with blood, a man bloody on the side of the road? No, I didn't stop to help him, as she gets angry. In the original interview you described the coat he was wearing as tan. Then it became blue. She answers saying she knows she said tan, but it was always blue and thinks she said tan because of all the blood. What? What? I mean, this one here. This one here. So it's sorry guys. This is actually, it's hilarious. It's funny because of the amount of shit they want you to swallow. Listen. The jacket's blue, but she thinks it's tan because of all the blood from the knees down. I mean, pardon me. I mean, they actually would expect someone to believe this. She thinks she said tan for a blue jacket because of all the blood from the knees down. Yeah. Baldwin says, I think your memory changed after you saw the photo of the bridge guy. In the second interview, you stated the guy was wearing a brown sweater and had a little curl to his hair. She thinks a little of his hair was sticking out. During the interview, you stated he had feminine eyes. No, I never said that. Would you like the interview to review? Would you like to review the transcript? No, I'm good. Really? She stated in her interview that she didn't have her phone with you. However, she states, my phone pinged off the tower. That's how they were able to contact me. And I know they went in and pulled every person that pinged off that tower. The witness seemed quite hostile and not happy with Baldwin. She says, this man caught her attention because he was sus with extreme layers. Wait, but I thought he was in a tan sweater. In the deposition, she stated she saw the man for a mere instant. Wasn't counting his freckles or didn't see him long enough to see if he had feminine eyes. Again, Baldwin said, do you want to see the transcript? And again, she says no. Thank you, Shelley. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that super sticker. In the redirect, she says the tan sweater was more of a pullover hoodie. A pullover tan hoodie? I mean, dude, how is that extreme layers? Because you said he's wearing extreme layers for the weather, but he's wearing a tan sweater hoodie? She claims that it's in the missing section of her interview, which she mentions the blood. She said the blood was on the bottom part of the leg, like splatters. But she reiterates that she definitely said mud and blood in both interviews. And in the third, they only focused on blood. So that's why she never mentioned mud. Again, Baldwin says, you said mud 13 times. And the video cuts off. And that happens to be the only time you said blood. So we just have to take your word for it. And she says, yes. Anyway, that's what you got. That's what you got with that one. That's what you got with that piece of work. Oh, God, man. And we're going to have another liar. Okay, here we go. We got another one. Another one. Steve Mullen. Steve Mullen, another champ. He presented several exhibits of what he claims he saw on the Harvest Store video. Betsy Blair's vehicle going eastbound towards a trailhead at 12:22. Betsy Blair's vehicle going westbound at 1:15, headed to the DELPHI library. Betsy Blair's vehicle going eastbound again, coming back from the library to do her third loop at 1:46. Kelsey German's vehicle going westbound at 1:49. Betsy Blair's going westbound at 2:18. Sarah Carbaugh's vehicle going eastbound at 3:56. The FBI is who recovered this video. They did a video canvas and got this video and provided it to Mullen. They had a report and an affidavit of custodian of records, basically where they described all of this process of retrieving the video and identifying the vehicles and so forth. Mr. Baldwin asked Mullen, so these photos are what you think are Betsy Blair's car, right? Right. The witness says, well, she ID'd it. It wasn't just me. It was based on her description. In fact, she ID'd it. Baldwin said, in fact, all of these witnesses ID'd their own vehicles, didn't they? Yes, they did. Well, hold on. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. All right, so this major piece of evidence, what should and would be, which is the Harvest Store video, where you should have something identifiable on video at its original compression or quality. Its original fidelity would be the absolute best, would be the video. That would be your best iteration of the data on that video, would be the video in its original uncompressed state. But what Mullen does is obtain photograph still shots from the video, which would automatically reduce the fidelity, and then have the witnesses to ID their own vehicles. Yeah, that's what happened. Okay, so then it would cause one to wonder, are any of those vehicles the vehicles of those we have been told they belong to? How good is the quality of those images that would enable some sort of identification? If you relied on Sarah Carbaugh to identify her own vehicle to make it a positive identification, is that what you did with Kelsey German? Did Kelsey German identify her own vehicle? Question. Can you see those victims inside of Kelsey German's vehicle when she passes the Harvest Store camera? Can you see the license plate or the driver of that vehicle to confirm that driver, vehicle, and passengers were indeed all caught on that Harvest Store video? Who else was captured on that Harvest Store video? Did you perhaps catch the perpetrators on that Harvest Store video and fail to identify their vehicles? Did you happen to catch the vehicle that Megan Allen was in when her and her buddies arrived at the trails the day before? You know, where she says she stabbed someone to see what it would feel like as part of a gang initiation and a gang rape. Did you happen to see Elvis Fields arriving? Was there a delivery truck that delivered a pig? You know, the kind that Elvis Fields worked for under the table? Did you happen to see that truck pass on by that camera? Shit. I'd like to know whose vehicles were captured on that camera. Elvis says he was initiated into a gang. Megan Allen says she was initiated into a gang and stabbed someone to see what it would feel like. I'd like to know what's all captured, not only on that camera, but on all the cameras that were canvassed in a 5-mile radius of those trails. Or did you canvass a 5-mile radius of those trails? Now, moving on. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I think I've shown you all of the major holes in this story so far. Which brings us to the way they tried to go out with the grand finale, which was confessions. The confessions. Remember, all we've heard about for a year and a half, the 60 whatever confessions. This is how they tried to go out with a bang. Yes, they did. Yes, they did, because in their minds, because everything you've just seen was an absolute nothing burger and rife with contradictions, they thought that where they could definitely bring it on home with confessions and witnesses to those confessions. Well, I've already done an entire live stream on the confessions, and I'm going to put it here in the chat for you to save for a later time. You're very much welcome to go and watch that if you really want an in-depth review of my opinion of the confessions. So I'll put it in the chat now so you can put it on watch later or whatever you want to do with it. But here's my video in which we go thoroughly through the confessions. We're not going to do at this moment. We're just going to address this issue right here, okay? But there you'll see my video on the confessions. Let me pin it. Okay. That's specifically confession oriented. But this is how they tried to go out with the Big Bang, was confession. So let's look at this. Max Lewis from Max Lewis TV says, Dr. Walla admitted to sharing her thoughts with Mr. Allen about what she saw in online groups. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, baby. Oh, yes. Oh, my God. Okay, so because what they're going to say to you, they're going to say, he had knowledge of something only the killer would know. He had knowledge of something only the killers would know. Well, here you go. I mean, I don't even have to do the rest of the show. You can just read this first sentence from Mr. Lewis here. Mr. Lewis says, Dr. Walla admitted to sharing her thoughts with Mr. Allen about what she saw in online groups. Well, you know what? Not only could all of the inmates, that was another lie. Gallipo said that no one was able to communicate with him when he had inmates babysitting Richard Allen, who we now know were indeed conversing with him. Well, you know, those inmates get phone calls from the outside. Richard Allen was not isolated. There's a very, very, very easy explanation for how he might have known details about the crime scene and the situation that only the killer would know, quote unquote. And that is that he was fed it from the outside and or from Dr. Walla. Okay, like this. Gosh, this is too much. I just can't even continue. I just want to go home. Dr. Walla testified about her sessions and interactions with Allen. Those included confessions he made to her about killing Abby and Libby. At one point in early April, he said he took their lives to preserve his own. He admitted to having a sex addiction and being an alcoholic. Well, that sounds about normal. It's half the world, right? Okay. Dr. Walla said after Allen received discovery papers from his attorneys, he began acting strangely. Geez, I wonder why. She said repeatedly she believed it wasn't genuine and he was only doing odd things to get out of this. At one point, Allen was eating his own poop. She believed Allen suffered from situational psychosis. In May, Allen made his most detailed confession yet. He told Dr. Walla that he drank 3 beers that day, then headed to the trails. He saw the girls walking and followed them. He mentioned doing something with the gun, then ordered them down the hill and was going to rape them. Saw a van and it scared him so much he made them cross the creek. He then cut their necks and waited there to make sure they were dead, then walked back to his car and continued his life normally ever since. Okay, so that's the nature of our confessions. Okay, let's keep going. Talked about killing himself by jumping off his sink and snapping his neck. Told Walla, I didn't do everything I said I did, but I killed Abby Libby. During the month of April, after receiving his defense or discovery papers, he was involuntarily given medication during injection. In other words, involuntarily given him medication. He was drugged via injection. She testified she believed he was faking his symptoms. But she's But she's injecting him involuntarily? Well, how are you gonna justify that, doctor? You think he's faking, so you inject him involuntarily? Well, that's interesting, isn't it now? Should you lose your medical license? Probably yes. Tried to flush his own Bible down the toilet. She was fired from DOC. She admitted to following the case closely, actually being obsessed with the case and participating in Facebook groups and online chat rooms about the case at the time she was forcibly medicating Richard Allen. She became more interested after Allen's arrest, and she never formally told her bosses about her interest in the case, even when he was sent to be under her care. She admitted to sharing her thoughts with Allen about what she saw in the groups and said he was fragile. Mrs. Walla was in nearly every single freaking Delphi group. And I shared this with you in May. Yes, I did. I blasted her in May. Yeah, way back in May. I wasn't too happy about it. Delphi After Dark. Delphi Murders Uncensored. Delphi Murders Let's Chat. Down the Hill, the Unsolved Delphi Murders Defense Diaries. Delphi Murders Case Discussions and Fact Checks and blah, 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 blah. Murder Sheet Discussion Group. Uncensored. Down the Hill. Delphi After Dark. Robin Flick says, just wondering who everyone watches on YouTube. I'm not here to argue. We all like different people. I personally prefer channels. This is March, okay? Think about it. Look at the timestamp. Well, actually, let's back it up one notch. Look at the timestamp. Delphi After Dark, August 30th, 2022. Let's back it up again. I missed this. November 30th, 2022, November 12th, 2022, June 9th, 2022, June, July, August, right? And here we are in March 15th, 2022. Just wondering, everyone who watches YouTube, I'm not here to argue. We all like different people. Personally, I prefer channels that don't just follow the narrative, do their own research, like the prof. Do I agree with everything they say? No, but I respect their opinions. These channels, the channels I don't watch are the ones that yell and call people names because they don't agree with them or question them. Oh, Gray Hughes. They have egos that can't allow them to be wrong. Gray Hughes, Sleuth and Tuishwit. All right. Monica Walla. Gray Hughes. Delphi After Dark for the drama. True Crime Investigates. Greeno. Criminality, Defense Diaries, Sleuth Intuition. His calm tone is unnerving. All right, you get the picture here? It's all a game. It's entertaining. It's fun as fuck for Miss Monica Walla. Richard Allen, psychologist at Westville Correctional Facility, admits she followed the case via podcast and Facebook groups before and during his treatments, which included forced involuntary medical injections. She said she contributed in chat rooms throughout. She also said she shared her thoughts with Allen during his treatment based on the coverage she's seen. She's no longer working for the DOC. They had to do an investigation, she shared. Yeah, you should lose your license, woman. Anyone think it's super inappropriate for a treating psychologist who's forcibly medicating a witness at trial? Who may be a witness at trial is a member of this group and others, Delphi Murders, Drama, Gossip, and Facts, and tags her. Yeah, this is your Monica Walla. From notes on the I believe this is July 31st hearing in which Monica Walla testified. Rick stated in March of 2023, "I don't feel right." Walla acknowledged his baseline is depression and categorized his condition as poor critical deteriorating in March of 2023. April 1st, 2023, documented suicidal ideation delusions. 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 Ricks made the statement death would bring release. Observed insomnia, poor appetite, hopelessness, low self esteem, and more unspecified. April 2nd, 2022. I'm sorry, 2023. April 2nd, noted Rick was even more critical. At some point, emergency involuntary medication was administered. April 13th, 2023. Sorry, I'm stuck on 2022 for some reason. April 13th. April 13th, grave disability noted. Observed consuming feces. Considering involuntary medication via injection. Involuntary medication hearing, room 208. A hearing was held and involuntary medication was scheduled. On April 21st, Walla observed disjointed thoughts in Rick. May 12th, Rick's disorganized thinking had accelerated. May 18th, he had a man down incident due to his next scheduled injection. May 22nd, depression at peak. Remember, this is during the time when he's quote unquote making confessions. This is the time period he is giving these 62 confessions, whatever the number is. Physiological symptoms include trembling, stuttering, buckling knees, bulging eyes. By July 11th, the time the confessions stop, some signs of improvement are beginning to be noted. In October, Walla and Rick were still having sessions. He continued to proclaim his innocence. In November, Rick reported still being haunted and harassed. This harassment occurred over the phone and spanned a significant time period. Who's calling him, harassing him? Where are the recordings of that? Where are those recordings? Harassment occurred over the phone and spanned a significant time period. It's noted that a psychotic process was occurring between March and June. March and June. Those are the very months during which he's giving these alleged confessions. March to June. Psychotic process occurring. Diagnosis of psychosis notated in Walla's notes, including catatonic state and disorganized speech, considered a serious mental illness by Wallace standards. I mean, am I making my point here? As a doctor, do you agree that he has met the criteria for severe mental illness? No doubt is the answer. No doubt. Meaning, yes, Rick met the criteria. Yet, the court declared that the DOC was a safe environment despite his serious mental illness. Solitary confinement and serious mental illness. Serious mental illness patients are typically placed in solitary confinement for 30 days per Indiana DOC codes. Walla acknowledges this policy. She notes this policy exists due to potential effects on the brain and because it's a documented protocol. Exceptions in Rick's case. Exceptions to this 30-day policy are made for individuals deemed to be an extreme danger to others. Walla asserts that Rick did not fall under this extreme danger exception. Question is asked, approximately how long was Rick in solitary? Answer, 12 months. April 12th, 2023, refusal of recreation and interview. Rick refuses to leave the recreation area for an interview. Diener states he's losing memory, unsure of what's being discussed. Walla notes that on one occasion, she was asked to determine if Rick's behavior was due to psychosis or feigning illness. Mention a video showing Rick being transported to receive injections of Haldol. Medication protocol, injections and oral, weekly Haldol, nightly for sleep. Walla's assessment, still many days communication was impossible. Concerns about potential over-medication. Observed that he slept a lot following injections. Rick claimed he was just laying there. Prozac. In addition to Haldol, Rick received Prozac, which he was on before his arrest. As Rick's condition improved, Haldol was eventually discontinued. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Tracy, for gifting our members 5 memberships. I'm sure those recipients will love it. They will love it. They'll be very grateful. Thank you for gifting those memberships. Yes, he was on Prozac and Haldol injections involuntarily, during which time he was undergoing psychosis and giving these alleged confessions, which they have tried to make the grand slam in this case. All right. All right, so let's continue. We're almost done here. All right, so moving on from the Frank's memorandum. During one memorable visit on May 4th, 2023, remember, this is the exact time period he's giving these confessions, these alleged confessions. May 4th, 2023, myself, Attorney Baldwin, and Andrew Rozzi, Attorney Rozzi met with Richard Allen to discuss matters involving the case. At this time, Richard Allen was in a mental and physical state of deterioration and was nearly non-communicative. During the visit, Richard Allen repeatedly asked whether or not his wife was okay and if his family was okay. He claimed on a couple of occasions that they were going to kill him. When asked who he was referring to as they, Richard Allen responded by saying, "The guys with the Odin patches." Up until this point in the legal process, Richard Allen's defense team had never mentioned Odinism or Odinites to Richard Allen. either directly or indirectly. The first time I'm aware of any mention of Odinite involvement to Richard Allen was during a visit on August 25th, 2023, when Kathy Allen attended, and a discussion occurred between attorney and client regarding ties to the crime scene. Do you understand what I am presenting to you at this moment and why? Thank you, Scout. Scout, thank you. I want you to understand what we just read. During the time period when those confessions were produced, he was undergoing psychosis, mental deterioration, physical deterioration, being forcibly injected with Haldol, on Prozac, trembling. What was the other? What were some of the other words? Okay, let's read these words. Suicidal, delusions, poor appetite, hopelessness, insomnia, grave disability, trembling, stuttering, buckling knees, bulging eyes. And on top of that, they are going to kill him. Is my wife okay? Is my family okay? When asked who he was referring to as they, he responded by saying, quote, the guys with the Odin patches. So not only was he undergoing this psychological situation, he was simultaneously being threatened by, quote, the guys with the Odin patches before he even knew that there was any discussion of Odinism. It gets worse. It gets worse. So are we understanding what happened to Richard Allen during his safekeeping pre-trial detainment? These are the holes in the state's case, and I guarantee you, the jury, this is not missed on the jury. The jury is aware. Because remember, they've heard more than we've heard. We're getting faint glimmerings out of the courtroom in the form of other individuals' perceptions of what is being said and done and felt, and coming out in the form of notes being recalled to us on live streams and in fucking Twitter posts. Okay. Now, realize today that the prosecution has rested its case. Of course, they would do so on what to them is a sacred holiday, and what to me is a joke. Because we know God Almighty speaks forcibly in the face of evil, which is why I am here today speaking forcibly to the face of this evil. I am showing you the obvious glaring holes in the state's case. And so I'd like to close, as I often do, possibly, with commentary from someone who messaged me. Okay. Let me just say that I know there have been many hours as you're trying to understand the what has transpired and what kind of case this prosecution has had to present. As you see, it's been nothing. They actually had nothing. And the one anomaly I did not address because I'm leaving it for the defense. So it's very strategic. Don't think that I missed it. Okay. When it comes to Oberg's opinion on the unfired round having marks that match Richard Allen's gun, I have decided to not present that beyond the following statement. Obviously, that is not a science. It's a total and complete joke. The only way you're getting marks on a fired round that match an unfired round is if that unfired round had been fired. Do you get how insane that is? All right. So let me rest by reciting the words that were messaged me by an absolutely amazing viewer. Okay. All right. So let me pull them up. I believe we've witnessed a miracle in that Rick has endured and survived the torture. He has a long way to go to recover, but never a miracle, but a miracle nonetheless. Absolutely. I said that to one of my friends today. I did say that. Exactly, just about. Okay. Let me read this for you. State's new timeline. Bridge guy 700 foot away at 2:13 in unedited footage sprints 12 miles an hour across the Monon High Bridge and kidnaps the girls at 2:14 p.m. and then tells them down the hill. He gets spooked by Weber in his white van on the private drive at around 2:32 p.m. So BG forces the girls across the street and through rough terrain, etc., blah, blah, blah. Serious problem with this timeline. Libby's activity tracker stops moving at 2:32 p.m. Would someone panic, abort a sexual assault, and then spend an hour crossing a frigid creek with two victims, unaliving the two victims, redressing, dragging 20 to 40 feet, doing the F tree, staging, posing, placing intricate branches in the form of bind runes? Who would choose a box knife over a bunch of regular knives at their disposal, or say a gun in a hunting area, which is quicker with less of a chance of screaming or an escape or a physical altercation? No screaming or physical fighting with two victims? Some people actually speculate the girls didn't know anything was wrong until the last second. Being forced to cross an ice cold creek by gunpoint wouldn't alarm them? Fun fact. Fig Solves made a video in April of 2024 about Weber coming up the private drive in his white van before this was public knowledge. Unless someone knows something I don't, which is possible. I keep updating the absurdity as they keep shifting the timeline. For years, it was always Weber was servicing his ATMs and then went to check on his mom's house, and who is a snowbird in Arizona for the winter, and arrived on the private drive around 3:30. Regardless if he arrived at 3:30 and spooked BG, but BG had 26 minutes to be seen by Sarah Carbo at 3:56. If he arrived at 2:32 and spooked BG, well, Libby's activity tracker stopped moving at 2:32. Richard Allen told Walla he got spooked by a van and then made the girls cross the creek. None of this makes any sense, and the evidence proves it didn't happen this way. My favorite is that they are now saying Weber's van wouldn't be in Discovery, so that's something only the killer would know. It's in Discovery. If Fig can find out about BG being spooked by a van before the public back in April 2024, then so could Richard Allen. Hell, Walla was telling him stuff she saw online about the case, and Holman had the crime scene photos on the table in front of Richard Allen. I had everything laid out yesterday, not having a single clue what Harshman would testify to today. He testified regarding Richard Allen's claim to the psychologist of being interrupted by a van. Harshman says only Libby, Abby, and the killer would have seen a van that day. The van hadn't been mentioned by RA until the 8:23 report from the psychologist. Harshman said he didn't read that report until a year later, in August 2024. Harshman said he had not seen anything about the van until he read that report at that point. At that point, he investigated Weber and his vehicle. In that investigation, he got the timetable from Weber on when his vehicle would have been in the area, lining up with the time of the killings. Harshman said he looked through police reports and found no mentions of the van, so it wouldn't have been in Discovery for Allen to read about before his confession. On cross, Razi asked Harshman if he were aware there were hundreds of tips that had been called in regarding a van. Harshman did not go through all the tips. Excuse me, Harshman, Fig knew Bridge Guy was spooked by a van driven by Weber on the private drive before he made his video about it on April 29th, 2024. You said under oath it was nowhere in Discovery when you first heard about it in August of 2024. And finally investigated it. So no one sat Weber down and interrogated while recording or wrote his detailed timeline and vehicle he was driving that day down and investigated Weber since February 14th of 2017. Even though they searched the property multiple times and had his .40 caliber for 6 months, a .40 caliber Sig Sauer. Was Brad Weber a reloader? Of .40 caliber rounds from Sig Sauers? The state had this supposed confession for a whole year and never investigated it until August 2024, when this was finally going to trial. And now Weber's timeline changes 7.5 years later when you finally investigate it. Well, Weber and Walla were subpoenaed. So we will find out. So the defense begin their presentation today. Oddly enough, on October 31st, 2024, I think that we are transforming this conspiracy into a revelation. And so I ask you all to be very optimistic. Be optimistic. This is a time for optimism. You were just presented with everything that don't add up. that the jury would have been presented. Okay? And now you're going to be privy to a defense presentation which none of you can anticipate. All right? I'll give you my word. And so I hope you enjoy what's to come. And I hope that this was valuable to you. And if you're on the replay, please leave a comment down below, because I do love the comments. I do love the comments, okay? The comment section keeps the conversation going once the live stream is over. And the live stream is over. So please leave a comment down below, hit the like, and do all the other things. And be aware, I have a backup channel called The Prof True Crime. Go subscribe over there as well. And please send your support. We are in dire need of your support, whether it be super chats, buy me a coffee, Cash App, all those support pathways. We really do appreciate them. They mean a lot, and keep us going. So God bless you all, and thanks for all the awesome comments. Sorry, I'm not going to get to many of them today, but we had a really good go at it here, and I think this was valuable for everyone. So God bless you all, and I'll see you in the comment section. I'm going to jump on down and say goodbye to you on the way out. All right. Thank you, Rolo Mata. Thank you. Thank you for becoming a member. We appreciate you, and welcome here. Welcome to us. Right. Big Saul's nothing. Gray pubes are two bats of Delphi. The family is absolutely involved. We know who the real grifters are. Amen, brother. Prof. Justice for the girls. Thank you, Shelby. Thank you, Vladimir. Thank you for watching from Germany. We appreciate you. Good night to all. God bless to all. Okay. Thank you, Cromley. All right. So take care, everyone, and I'll see you in the chat momentarily. I do love you all, and God bless Libby and Abby, and God bless all of you. And again, pray for Joe Lewis. I dedicated this show to Joe Lewis. It's for you, brother. I hope you feel better and get some rest. Okay. We love you, Joe.